Thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today, for our Tuesday video, which used to be Archetypes Tuesday, I wanted to talk about the Netflix docuseries Harry and Meghan, but from a different perspective. So on Friday, I recapped the whole thing in the Royal Review. If you have not seen that, feel free to go check it out. It's on my channel. And yesterday for our live stream, we looked at the docuseries based on your feedback as Sussex Squad supporters. But today I actually wanted to go ahead and dispel a few narratives that seem to be growing steam on the internet. And no, we don't have to do this. However, I'm in the business of truth telling. And since I have a platform, albeit very small, since I have a platform, I do want to use it to make sure that at least a counter argument is out there when it comes to these false allegations. Let's hop in. Once again, thank you so much for clicking on my video. If you have not already, feel free to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell. I want to say a big hello to the friends circle, and I'm going to curtsy to the royal court as well as the Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for all that you do, and I'm so happy to have you supporting my channel. It is so great to have you in my corner. There seems to be a few narratives that are growing steam and catching on. And so I think it is important for those of us with even a small platform to dispel those narratives with truth. We need to always make sure that at least one of us or some of us, hopefully all of us, provide a counter argument to lies that are told by hell. They can't do it all themselves. They said they were playing whack-a-mole. So let's give them a little hand up. So for the first tweet, I'm not going to share their name, but I did just completely show the tweet. So if you're interested in finding out who it is so that you yourself are not following these people, aka these trolls, feel free to just look up the sentence and it'll probably pull up. The first tweet says, "Why is it okay for Meghan to mock our culture in this way? Or does racism only work one way?" And that was in reference to Meghan describing her first experience curtsying Queen Elizabeth II. Now, in this situation, although it was not intentional, Meghan was set up for failure. The way she described it, and Harry was right there to vouch, she had no idea she would be meeting the Queen that day. She thought they were all just going to lunch. She finds out last minute that the Queen will be there. Eugenie, Jack Brooksbank, and Prince Harry all helped Meghan to learn how to curtsy right before walking in. And when she walked in, she really didn't get it. She gave a, one might say, a ballerina bow as opposed to an actual curtsy. And so she describes this in jest as kind of like with a lot of humility, but kind of making fun of herself and just laughing like, I had no idea what I was doing. They were so nice about it. They were like, you did great. But she was like, deep down, I knew I didn't do a great job. In some way, shape, or form, that narrative has now become Meghan is making fun of curtsying. Meghan doesn't want to curtsy. Meghan doesn't get curtsying. And so I rewatched that scene this morning. I was like, did I miss something? I rewatched it and I'm like, these people are crazy as hell. What? Let me just tell you this. I'm American. And no, I don't curtsy my grandmother. But, you know, there's something to say about showing respect to those in a position of power, a position of authority, and our elders. So we do have certain allowances that we give people that we want to show a lot of respect to. However, we don't curtsy. That doesn't mean we make fun of it. Meghan didn't really know what to do. And also, in addition to that, she said previously that she didn't realize the formality and the protocols that you do in public with the royal family, you also do in private. She said that in her interview with Oprah. She had no idea that in private, she would still need to curtsy the Queen. She thought in private, this is a grandmother. In public, this is the Queen. And no. She is always going to require those protocols. And that was just a learning curve. The entire time, Meghan is literally laughing at herself and how that has turned into a narrative of she hates the UK and doesn't respect our traditions. Most importantly, our culture. The moment she talks about hating that or not respecting the Queen or something like that, I think then your argument would be valid. She said none of that, nor did she convey any of that in her tone, in her look, and in her description. Try again. How is that racism again? she didn't say anything about the queen being white. She didn't say anything about being black. She said as an American. But I think what the undercurrent is that y'all don't want to admit that when some of you use the term British, you really mean white British. You don't mean black British. And that's why I'm glad the docuseries actually included input from black British people. The next tweet says, there are so few Paps, it's as if they knew them by name, or Meghan has them on speed dial. Now, she was speaking of when Meghan and Harry were in the car, and there were a few of the regular paparazzi who were following them, and they were kind of taking detours, and it was just kind of this little hectic moment. And she's basically saying Meghan is calling the paparazzi on herself, which that doesn't make sense. Just right off the bat, you're already not making any sense. You didn't provide any kind of evidence to your argument or anything to back up your narrative, your bullcrap narrative at that. But when folks are following you everywhere, especially when you have the ones that make it their full-time job, and there are paparazzi who sun up to sundown, they're tailing certain people because they want those shots. Ask Britney Spears, ask the Kardashians, ask Beyonce. There are some people who just stake you out. And it would behoove you to kind of get to know at least who they are. As Meghan stated, because these people were following her around so much in Toronto that she actually greeted them. You don't think that was her first and only exchange? Especially if these people are always tailing her, it would be a safety measure to at least know, okay, that is paparazzi. That's not one of the people who sent me a threat. I know that person by name because I've seen them every day for the last 5 months. Like, I mean, come on. Not only that, but these paparazzi, they don't just snap photos. They talk to the subjects. A lot of times they're trying to provoke some sort of comment or something that they can also use to go along with the photo. And they'll just talk to you and they'll just yell it out. I mean, I've looked at so many documentaries about Britney Spears, and in almost every video of her being hounded by paparazzi, they're like, hey, Britney, it's me, Michael. Britney. And they'd like tell you who they are. So there's so many ways that they could have gotten to know this paparazzi's name without having them on speed dial. Like, that just doesn't even make sense. And do you believe that people are actually running with that? First of all, and she's also royal. Why would she give anybody her number? I mean, come on. Anyway. Again, I'm only providing a counter argument, but what I will not do and cannot do is make sense out of nonsense. And that's what pretty much all of these are. The next tweet says, no more Netflix then, account terminated. Any idea how long decent people need to work for $90 million? Netflix, I am sick that some of the money given to them comes from me. And so, which I found to be funny because he actually had a few misspellings, one of which was decent. He spelled as descent. So I'm going to actually read what he wrote. Any idea how long decent people need to work for $90 million, Netflix? First of all, go back to second grade, okay? Go back to second grade. And I don't think Netflix gives a damn if you get rid of their platform. They are consistently growing, and not only is this docuseries widely acclaimed already, it's already dominating all the headlines. It's creating so much traction for Netflix, meaning it's making them some money. Also, not to be a jerk, but you already gave them your money for this month. You already paid. And obviously you watched. So you gave them the view and the engagement. And then you tweeted about it. And then you used the hashtag. And then you added Netflix. They got everything they needed out of you this month. You're good for 30 days. You'll be back. Next tweet. Harry and Meghan on Netflix makes perfect sense to covet their privacy. It had value, which is now being realized. Integrity, however, to them clearly holds far less value. So I thought it would be fun to provide them with a definition. And the definition of integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. In what way did Harry and Meghan dispute that? Also, privacy is one thing, which we haven't even gotten into in the docuseries yet. They haven't said anything really about privacy. But privacy is one thing. Safety is another. protecting not only their physical being, but the integrity of their character by correcting these false allegations and narratives about themselves is their right to do. It's also the smart thing to do, and also the safe thing to do. How that means they're compromising their values makes no sense, especially since it's very apparent that their value system consists of their safety, the safety of their child, and their morals. All of which you displayed not having with this tweet. Not to mention, they value their reputation, their character, but most of all, their lives and the lives and the well-being of their children are being affected by these false allegations, some of which you yourself are perpetuating right here. So whether or not you watched the docuseries, which I have a strong feeling that you didn't, whether or not you watched the docuseries, it makes me feel like you just woke up and decided, I want to be a contrarian today. I want to be on the anti-side of things because I don't like one thing or another about these two people. But more often than not, you're just jealous. Next tweet. Being Harry and Meghan and thinking anyone cares about you enough to watch your documentary where you whine about not being royal anymore. Hashtag social jail. Now listen to this, y'all. Hashtag Harry and Meghan Netflix. Hashtag Harry and Meghan on Netflix. Hashtag Harry and Meghan. So I made a few notes about this tweet, and I know y'all already know what I'm gonna say. So please light up the live chat because I already know what you know what I'm gonna say. Despite the global success of the docuseries, which we've already noted, despite the hundreds of headlines that have already spawned just one day after it dropped, despite it trending worldwide, you yourself made sure to not only watch and comment and engage, but you made sure to use every single possible hashtag that could possibly be associated with not only Harry and Meghan, not only Netflix, but just Harry and Meghan as people. As people, not even just pertaining to the docuseries. You wanted to make sure that you were in every single forum regarding Harry and Meghan. That doesn't sound like someone who doesn't like them. That doesn't sound like someone who finds them irrelevant. They're so irrelevant that you took time out of your day to not only tweet about them, but to use every single possible hashtag. What does that make you? They're so irrelevant, they stopped you from probably being at work. You interrupted your workday with people who are irrelevant. They stopped you from spending time with your kids. They stopped you from spending time with your spouse. They stopped you from going to get a nasty ass hot dog down on the corner, clean out your outhouse that's erected right behind your shanty. They stopped you from doing the things that you need to do. But they're the ones who are irrelevant? And if you're not sure how irrelevant you are, ask yourself this. I know who they are. But will they ever not only know who I am, but acknowledge me or ever even see my trashy tweet? Doesn't sound too irrelevant to me. If there's any irrelevance to be disputed here, I would say the irrelevance is you. Next tweet. Harry acts the same as Meghan's father, selling our story to the press and Netflix for money. This one got me because I was like, okay, this one's really crazy. Thomas Markle sold out his daughter for a quick buck. He lied, he faked an illness, sold stories, and he attempted to ruin her wedding at the behest of virtual strangers. He sold out his daughter to people he didn't even know. Thomas Markle was not only a terrible father, but he was a horrible human being who lacked character. Prince Harry, however, corrected false allegations about himself. He corrected false narratives. He pushed back on malignment that was coming from the media. He protected his wife and children. And he chose to tell his side of a story since a false narrative was not only perpetuated, but it's still being perpetuated now. Y'all keep saying they've been talking about this for years, but have you talked to the UK media and asked them why are they still headlining all of their platforms? Do you think that maybe if people weren't still putting out false stories about them, they would feel they have anything to respond to? And most of all, which I think is what people consider to be Harry's biggest grievance overall, he dared to love a black woman out loud. Well, a black biracial woman out loud. And honestly, you're mad about it. Tweet. Harry being pissed about the tabloids exploiting the royal family for money is really ironic. Since he is exploiting the death of his mother for financial gain, make it make sense. So that's not what ironic means. Like, y'all make it so funny. Like, I can't even get mad at you because I know you don't know no better. Stop. Pass your grammar test. And then try to roll with the big dogs. But Harry is entitled to sharing his story, despite what you on the internet may feel. Harry is also entitled to protecting his family as well as himself. Harry also spent a lot of years, a decade, protecting your ass in the military. He did 2 tours in Afghanistan, even though his position had already been compromised. Harry is entitled to share his trauma and provide depth from first-person point of view. William, however, posthumously gaslit his mother on a global platform and currently treats his own wife like literal trash. William also exploited his brother, attacked his sister-in-law when she was pregnant, albeit, and he dismissed his own nephew. Yet you're on the internet mad at Harry? Go back to the drawing board. Next tweet. The woman is trailer park trash with no respect for our late monarch, and her grandchild is no better. All right, Scott. I'm just going to respond to Scott because obviously Scott wants some attention. Meghan has never lived in a trailer park. Meghan shared her experience without ever once misrepresenting anyone in the royal family, the firm, and especially the Queen herself. As a matter of fact, Meghan has always said glowing things about the Queen. And at the funeral, she was the only royal bride or royal wife who showed any real respect. She wasn't laughing and cackling. She didn't raid the Queen's jewelry box before her body was even cold. She was the only one who showed emotion, and she was the only one who dressed appropriately for a funeral. Meghan respects the entire royal family. She still chose to take the high road and combat their own lies with nothing but the truth, which is why I often say she doesn't fight fire with fire, she fights fire with water. She's gonna douse your ass and put you out. Next tweet, and I only have a few more. Next tweet. Now this one, I thought this was really funny because someone tweeted, "Harry, get away from me with that bureau. Why does Meghan always wear white?" And at CarrieConna777, God's Helmet responded, and this read had me cracking up. She said, "Instead of worrying about what color Meghan chooses to wear, you need to send out a search party for your upper lip, or did your gums swallow it?" Oh my God. I'm not gonna respond because she did it. Like, she won. Okay. Let me gather myself. Okay. Next tweet. Someone posted 2 photos of Meghan. One where she looks lighter, one where she looks darker. And they said, pick a color. Hashtag go home Meghan Markle. Hashtag Duchess overseas. Hashtag Harry and Meghan. Hashtag go home Meghan. Mind you, they didn't bother to put their full profile pic, but I can tell from their side view that they look like trash, if you wanted context. When I saw this, the first thing I said was, tell me you're racist without telling me you're racist. Look at my intro video. If you want to know how Black people, actually all people, change shades the more they're in the sun and the more they're exposed to the sun versus when they're not. But check out my intro. Those videos were recorded on different days when the weather was different, when my makeup was different, when the resolution was different based on the lighting in my office. One day I look darker, one day I look lighter. It's because I have skin and it's exposed, and lighting affects the way my skin is going to look on camera. Also, ma'am, you are white. Have you never heard of tanning? Also, makeup. One photo is in front of a backdrop. which you can clearly tell that she is being photographed by photographers who have flashes on their cameras. And it's clearly either daytime or there's a lot of lighting because, again, this is a backdrop. You want everything on the backdrop to show up so that advertisers get what they paid for. The other photo is at night from a very far distance in a car with tinted windows and evening makeup. She's talking about pick a color. Girl, pick a brain cell. Try to revive at least one of them. Next tweet. And last tweet. Meghan, quote, I don't wear color. I always wear neutrals. Also the Duchess of Sussex. And they show a palette of Meghan wearing purple, red, yellow, maroon, and blue. This one was a little fun for me. Meghan clearly stated when she was at a group event with senior royals. Okay, we're going to start there. When you want to talk shit, you need to get your facts straight. It was advised that she not duplicate the color of senior royals during group engagements. When she was with senior royals, Meghan decided to wear neutrals in order to blend in and not stand out of respect, which she did. When she was with senior royals, she didn't want to dispute protocol or the advice of the people there to help her. Every single photo used in this trashy tweet posts an inaccurate view of what Meghan said, because in every single photo, Meghan is either on a solo engagement or an engagement with just her and Harry, which backs up what Meghan said. Y'all ever seen somebody so dumb that they prove their opponent's point? Look at every tweet I've talked about today. And then lastly, there were a few people on the internet, which I didn't pull individual tweets, but there were a few people on TikTok who kept asking, why does it matter that you guys keep resharing your story? You already told your story. You already told your story in the Oprah interview. And that's not true. They also haven't told their story in this way. So I wanted to go down the reasons why it's important for them to have this platform and to use it to share their firsthand, first point of view perspective. During the Oprah interview, I felt that was more to respond to certain criticisms, most of which were impeding on their safety. And they wanted to chronicle their true experience despite the intentional false narratives that were being put out there. They also answered specific questions. They didn't just go out and speak. They answered the questions that Oprah asked, and they didn't know what Oprah was going to ask beforehand. They didn't do a deep dive. They also stated very clearly from the onset of the documentary why they felt it was necessary to tell their own story. Many accounts have been produced on their behalf without their involvement or their consent. They are historical figures. As I state all the time, they're not celebrities. So these moments in time will be chronicled forever as part of the monarchy. It's important for them to take a stand and make sure their true account is documented. They also have children who will live once they're gone and who will live in the shadow of their legacy. It's important for their children to know what truth to lean on, as well as their grandchildren, so on and so forth. Had Diana never spoken out, there would have literally been no counter argument to the narrative that the royal family portrayed about her, which essentially they tried to make her look crazy. They did. They tried to make her look loose and crazy. There would have been a lot of ambiguity, and the false stories that were intentionally planted would have been her story. If the UK media were not still producing false stories about Harry and Meghan, they would not have anything to dispute. If you want them to stop telling the truth, ask those UK media outlets to stop telling lies, and throw TMZ in there too. And lastly, they are still facing very real threats to their personal safety by extremists. These extremists and their views are being amplified by the false narratives in the media. They are still widely misrepresented. By having a documented account of the truth, they are doing their due diligence to not only present fact along with evidence, but provide a more safe environment for themselves and other notable figures who follow and will likely suffer the same fate, which is their way, providing service, because service is universal. So those were the tweets that I wanted to dig into, and those were the narratives that I definitely wanted to provide a counter argument to. It seemed that people looked at this with their own lens. As Harry said, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. And we know that a troll can only see so much. They don't even like themselves. What makes us think they're gonna like people who are winning? So I wanted to put a counter argument out there because there seem to be people who are genuinely asking these dumbass questions, and then there are people who are out there just trying to get that narrative going. So that's what I decided to use my video for today, especially since I'm missing archetypes. So I said, let me get out there and speak some truth. So that's all I've got for you today. Let me know your perspective on these tweets as well. I can be out here combating things alone. Help me out, squad. So get in that live chat and let me know what you think. But this is the last time I'm going to address these trashy tweets, but I did want to make sure that a counter argument was out there because I saw these topics growing legs and I was like, y'all are not about to do this again to my girl. She already told y'all what the truth was and you're choosing to be obtuse. The willfully obtuse really get under my skin. So tell me what you thought about these tweets. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have not already, feel free to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell. I want to say a big hello to everyone who's here as a member. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.